Hey BookTube, it's Peg. Welcome back to the History Shelf. Today we are doing a spotlight on Casemate Publishers, which is one of my favorite publishers. I've done one of these videos before for another one of my favorite publishers, and I'll continue to focus on just some great publishing houses and the books that they put out and that I enjoy so much. This is a military history focused video, the spotlight. Casemate Publishers is primarily focuses on just heavy-duty military history in all its forms and guises, whether it's nonfiction studies of campaigns, military leaders, to more granular things like studies of military units, armor, looking at weaponry in detail. They cover the whole gamut. And I have a stack of books here that are all brand new military history releases from Casemate and their various imprints. And I'm very excited to share them with you. So all of my fellow military history geeks and nerds out there, let's get our nerd on here because we are really going to have a fun pile to go through. And I hope you guys find something here that makes you want to explore it further and maybe pick up the book. Let's start off with something as beautiful. It just came in the mail the other day. Oh, look at the back of this one too. All right, here we go. We're going to start off with the Teutonic Titans, Hindenburg, Ludendorff, and the Kaiser's Marshals and Generals, 1847 to 1955 by Blaine Taylor. This is by their imprint, Greenhill Books. Look at the back. Oh my gosh. Isn't that badass? Okay. Yes. That is Hindenburg. Anyway, let me give you a quick synopsis. Oh, and this book is just, I have already looked through it and flipped through it, and it's beautiful. It is so heavily and lavishly detailed and just so many photographs. The chapters are very doable as far as length, because really the book is mostly pictures, maps, cartoons. Got some of these things going on here. And I've seen a lot of these pictures already of that period, of that time frame, like, and especially World War I with Hindenburg and Ludendorff. But I'm guessing there's a lot I haven't seen here as well. Oh, this guy. Mackinson. He's wearing a fur Busby cap with skull and crossbones emblem. This guy. And I've seen his picture elsewhere. Look at this guy over here. Isn't that badass? What is up with that cap, man? That's dope. Okay. Sorry. So Teutonic Titans covers the era 1847 to 1955, and it's heavily illustrated with over 500 images of German Emperor Wilhelm II's First World War marshals and generals, emphasizing their lives, careers, battles, and campaigns. The book covers both Western and Eastern fronts, as well as the Balkans, Baltics, Middle, and Far East. And then it goes into how heavily illustrated it is. It covers a ton of different... It takes you all the way up into... Obviously, it says 1955. So a little bit at the end about the rise of the Nazis. Gosh, look at these images. This is towards the end of the book, so... Wow. What a beautiful book. What a resource if you're into, and then again, just for that back cover. Wow. What can I say? I saw this and I said I have to have it. Yeah, so that's the first one we got going on from Casemate. All right, I've got to kind of transfer a pile from here over. This is going to be probably a longish video, guys. I'm sorry, but there's a lot of books here. I may not read the synopsis on each one, but anyway, you'll know why, because we got a lot of books to go through. Next up is Arctic Front. This is a brand new release from Casemate, and this is The Advance of Mountain Corps Norway on Murmansk, 1941, by Wilhelm Hess, and it's translated by Lyndon Lyons. I got this book because of the fact that I was very interested in another release that they had put out called Narvik, and I think I still need to get that one. But recently, I think I was introduced through a military history article in one of my magazines that I subscribe to, one of my many, about the invasion of Norway early on in the war. And I had no idea. I didn't even think of Norway as a front anywhere in World War II, and I read pretty, well, I'd say pretty well. Maybe not super extensively, but I think I've covered a fair share of the major theaters in World War II in my reading. But I haven't read too much on Norway. So when I saw Narvik, I commented, and boy, a great publicist at Casemate, Daniel, sent me Arctic Front saying, I think, you'd like this one as well. And boy, do I ever. So I want to kind of read this one along with Narvik to get a better sense of how the war in Norway actually played out. I'll just read a quick synopsis of this for you. In 1941, a modern army suddenly swept into an isolated and naturally inhospitable region along the northern coast of Scandinavia. The first time this territory had even seen military operations conducted by large formations. The region, known as Ijsmeer Front, or the Arctic Front, would be fought over for much of World War II. Forming the northernmost theater in the war waged by Germany against the Soviet Union, it would see German troops from all services of the Wehrmacht fighting side by side with Finnish troop units. The high point of the war on the Arctic Front was the assembly in advance of Germany's Mountain Corps Norway in the summer and autumn of 1941. Commanded by General of the Mountain Troops Edward Deitel and composed of the 2nd and 3rd Mountain Divisions, the Mountain Corps advanced out of occupied North Norway, assembled in the Patsamo Corridor in North Finland, and struck into Soviet territory in an attempt to seize Murmansk. It did not reach its objective. So, here's a good picture of the other books on this topic, including Narvik. But this is, it's a fairly short book. I'd say about 180 pages or so. But it acts as a companion to Narvik, which are also available from Casemate. Narvik, and I think it might be Vitebsk as well. So more for me to look into. Anyway, so we got Arctic Front, another new release. Okay, going back a little bit, let's go back to ancient times, shall we? We're going to mix it up, jump backwards and forwards, do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Make sure you can hear me. The sound has been a little weird for some people, but other people it works fine, so I have no idea. I'll have Martine try to clean up this video when I'm done. Just run it through her editing software just to make sure the sound is as loud as it can be. But anyway, next book takes us back to ancient Italy, you guys. Check this book out. Armies of Ancient Italy, 753 to 218 BC, from the foundation of Rome to the start of the Second Punic War. And I love the Punic Wars. Best book on that, in my opinion, is the Adrian Goldsworthy one volume on the Punic Wars. Fantastic. And this is by Gabriel Esposito. And it's part of the Armies of the Past series, as you can see. It's identified that way. They have other books in the series. And this one is an imprint of Pen and Sword, which is a fantastic imprint. There's a few imprints that work under the Casemate umbrella. This book is very fun if you want to see men in, like, ridiculous outfits. I'm sorry, no. There's a lot of reenactors in here. And when I got the book, I wasn't realizing that. And I'm like, oh, there's people that really do this. You know, I know about Civil War reenactors, but, okay, but check this out. Like, this guy's got his lounge pants on. I don't know. No, I love it. Okay, they're trying to be authentic, but there's a lot of pictures in here about, like, what they wore. I'm trying to get this microphone out of the way. Okay, so, Yeah, obviously there's text in here. We've got like chapter 3 is the birth of the Republic and the wars against the Austrians. I mean, then this is the kind of history I love to read. And we got some pictures of greaves. So that's cool, bronze greaves. And then just straight up photos of people who have recreated the armor of the era. Yeah, so they're beautifully illustrated. And check out, okay. If you want to see some legs, I'll let the ladies look at that. Sorry. I saw this book and I was like, oh, I can't show this to Martine. She's going to think I am a complete nerd. Oh, yes. Please, by all means, have a good... This is... Oh, yes. Yes. Look at this guy. Got some wrinkled underpants going on here. Undergarments. Oh. Oh, that's nice. I'm not saying anything. Okay, now the helmets are dope. That's straight up cool. Okay. Anyway, it's a slim volume. And this is something I could read in an afternoon. Let's see. Before becoming the masters of the Mediterranean world, the Romans had first to conquer the Italian peninsula in a series of harsh conflicts against its other varied and warlike residents, which is a time that I find fascinating, like the Social War, which was also called, I think, oh God, it had a second name, but I wrote a paper on the Social War when I was in school, and I've always thought it was intriguing how Romans first came to subdue the peninsula itself. So this is right up my alley. So the outcome was no foregone conclusion, and it took the Romans half a millennium to secure the whole of Italy. Gabriel Esposito presents the armies that fought these wars, in which the Roman military spirit and their famous legions were forged. He not only follows the evolution of the Roman forces from the regal period to the outbreak of the Second Punic War, but also the forces of their neighbors, rivals, and enemies. So that's cool. Oh yes, the most notable of these, the Etruscans, who I find fascinating. That people, I cannot have enough information on the Etruscans. For some reason, they just really intrigue the heck out of me. So most notable are the Etruscans, the Samnites, and the Italian Greeks. But other attention is given here to the Celts and the Ligures of the north, and the warriors of Sicily and Sardinia. And it goes on to say the details of the organization, weapons, equipment, and tactics of each army are described, while dozens of beautiful color photos of reenactors show how these warriors looked in the field. In their pajamas. No, I'm giving these guys a hard time. But you know what? God love them. They're into it. They're like, yeah, I'm all about history. And if I dress up like this on the weekend, what are you going to say about it? Not a damn thing, because I got this spear. Anyway, guys, so that's Armies of Ancient Italy from the Armies of the Past series. And I'm trying to see what other books in the series they have. We've got Armies of Early Colonial North America, Armies of the Late Roman Empire, and Armies of the Hellenistic States. Wow, there's a whole ton of them. I'm going to have to look into that. Jeez, more books. Don't tell Martine. Okay. All right. 13 minutes. Oh my God, I got to pick up the pace. All right. Okay, so now we're going to move into, not that there's any type of rhyme or reason. This was a book sent to me just out of like, hey, are you interested in this? And so knowing how I've been getting into military memoirs from very recent entanglements and wars, like Vietnam. I had someone reach out to me, wanted to send me their work on their memoirs that they're working on in Iraq, and I totally so down with that. I so want to read those books. But this one is one they sent to me. It looks really interesting. This is called Gunship Ace, The Wars of Neil Ellis, Helicopter Pilot and Mercenary, by Al J. Venter. Okay, this is about a former South African Air Force pilot who saw action throughout the region from the 1970s. Neil Ellis is the world's best-known mercenary combat aviator. I'd never heard of him. Apart from flying Alouette helicopter gunships in Angola, he has fought in the Balkan War for Islamic forces, tried to resuscitate Mobutu's ailing air force during his final days ruling the Congo. This is fascinating. Flown Mi-8s for executive outcomes in another fondly dubbed Baki for Colonel Tim Spicer in Sierra Leone. Finally, with a pair of aging Mi-24 Hinds, Ellis ran the air wing out of Aberdeen Barracks in the war against Sanko's vicious RUF rebels. These are all phrases and terms that are brand new to me. And I love reading something that I've never heard of. In Afghanistan, he flew helicopter support missions for 3 years, where he had more close shaves than in his entire previous four decades put together. Oh, wow. It goes on to describe some more of his exploits. But it's got beautiful, got color photos. He's got interesting, wow. That's the Soviet SAM 7s that they issued the Angolans and the guerrillas during that conflict. Wow. So this actually looks really good. I've never heard of this guy and or his exploits, but I'm kind of intrigued. I've kind of been getting into military, memoir. I was there, and here's my story, and here's what I did. Although this is, it's not a memoir per se, but it is about him, so it's a history. But I'm not sure why. Oh, here's the guy. Here's Neil Ellis, right here. So so this is just a straight up story on Neil Ellis and Gunship Ace. That looks really dope. And this is also put out by Casemate. So they sent me that, and I am thrilled to give that a read. It's not exactly a memoir, but I can say here that I enjoy the memoirs, and I enjoy just a straight up, journalistic kind of, exploration on the people who fought there. So I guess I got confused because I thought I did have a memoir in here, but maybe I was thinking of the last video I did where I introduced Fire Force. Yeah, I think that's where I got confused. But anyway, all right, moving on. This is Three War Marine Hero, another book that I was happy to get. Three War Marine Hero by General Raymond C. Davis. Oh, no, sorry. Three War Marine Hero, General Raymond C. Davis, about Raymond C. Davis. And it's written by Colonel Richard D. Camp Jr. and a foreword by General James Mattis. We've heard that name before, have we not? General Ray Davis fought in 3 wars, World War II, Korea, and Vietnam, and received the United States' highest awards for bravery and professional competence. Awarded the Medal of Honor for his actions at Chosin, he also received the Navy Cross and Silver Stars, becoming one of the most highly decorated Marine officers in the history of the Corps. This biography highlights his leadership and bravery in deadly combat from the first amphibious offensive in World War II, hi Goldie, to the frozen mountains of Korea's Chosin Reservoir, and finally his command of the 3rd Marine Division in Vietnam. Oh, hi Boomer. All the kids are back. And then it goes into just Ray Davis as the man, and how his colleagues thought of him. But this looks great. Again, this is a historic personage in the history of the Marine Corps. One of the most decorated Marines in the history of the Marine Corps. Can you imagine that, fighting in 3 different wars? This is another Casemate release. Small little biography, but about 200 pages. Of course, we've got great illustrations and photos throughout. All the Casemate books will always have detailed maps and photographs. So that is the next book I'd like to spotlight here for you. All right, I just need to take a quick pause. I'll be right back. And we're back. Thank you. I just had to take a quick drink of water. I was getting a little parched there. Moving on. All right. So next we have Winning Wars. This looks really good. The enduring nature and changing character of victory from antiquity to the 21st century. Edited by Matthias Strone. Also put out by Casemate. Again, all new releases. This book here, let me just read this to you real quick. While winning might be considered a fundamental part of the human objective, what constitutes winning and how one might achieve it remains somewhat abstract in war as in any other human endeavor. Winning militarily at the tactical level in a firefight or a battle has always been more quantifiable than at the strategic level. At the strategic level, success might be measured by means of three big ideas: ownership, intervention for effect, and fighting for ideas. The divergence between success at the tactical level and the political context of the war creates a challenge at the operational level when it relates to political and strategic matters. So this is the result of a research project carried out by the Center for Historical Analysis and Conflict Research for the British Army. This book analyzes the philosophical constituents of what may comprise victory or winning, and then travels chronologically through a wide set of historical case studies, exploring those more philosophical components and weaving them into the factual discussion. Okay, interesting. And then there's a ton of different contributors to this. We've got an introduction by Hugh Strachan. As we know, wrote the First World War, which is extremely popular history. Many different volumes. There was one volume, like abridgment, I think, that was heavily illustrated. I think I have that one. And then, of course, they did that huge documentary on the First World War based off of Hugh Strachan's work. But anyway, he writes the introduction here, which is fascinating. Again, it's a bunch of different essays and articles on the topic of winning wars. Let's see here. Wow, there's a lot of people here. Yeah, so there's the introduction. Good old Hugh Strachan. So that's fantastic. Some of the chapter titles we have, or essays that we have here, we start way off in antiquity, obviously. Winning in Classical Antiquity and the Roman Conception of Victory by Ali Parchami. Then we look at the European concept of winning in the Middle Ages by John France. We have another one we have here is From the Age of Reason to the European Nation State, 1750 to 1850 by Jonathan Riley. So this is a fantastic lineup. Takes us all the way up into the IRA. There's even an article on an essay on the provisional IRA and the elusive concept of winning since 1969 by Aaron Edwards. So just a fantastic variety. There's articles on winning in World War I. So, I don't know. I saw this and I was like, yes, I will read this and I will enjoy it. So, Winning Wars edited by Matthias Strone. And again, it's just a variety of contributors. So, another fantastic new release. Okay, we're getting some good stuff in here. Okay, let's go. Well, it's all good stuff. All right, I just got to mush on. It's 24 minutes. Let's go to a brand new book that I just had to have because I love my Russian history and I love the story about the last Tsar. And of course, his wife, his queen, his Tsarina was Alexandra. And there's a new book out. And it's called The Special Relationship Between Russia's Last Tsarina and Queen Victoria. It's called Empress Alexandra, and it's by Melanie Clegg. This is put out by Pen and Sword. And we all know, those of us who know about the Queen Victoria and know about all of the extended family, her granddaughter, Alexandra, was her favorite. because Alexandra lost her parents when she was very young, and she became the ward pretty much of Queen Victoria, who cared for her. Well, let me just read this to you. When Queen Victoria's second daughter, Princess Alice, married the Prince Louis of Hesse and Rhine in 1862, even her own mother described the ceremony as more of a funeral than a wedding, thanks to the fact that it took place shortly after the death of Alice's beloved father, Prince Albert. Sadly, the young princess's misfortunes didn't end there, and when she also died prematurely, her 4 motherless daughters were taken under the wing of their formidable grandmother, Victoria. Alex, the youngest of Alice's daughters, and allegedly one of the most beautiful princesses in Europe, was a special favorite of the elderly queen, who hoped that she would marry her cousin, Prince Albert Victor, Duke of Clarence, and one day reign beside him as queen. However, the spirited and stubborn Alex had other ideas, and boy did she ever. Well, she fell in love with Nicky. I mean, what are you going to do? She fell in love with Nicky. This is a nice little story. It looks like it's going to be like a 200-page kind of survey of their relationship. Probably, I think it's going to be delving into a lot of their letters and such, but of course we've got some great pictures in the middle. And, I have an extensive library on anything having to do with Tsar Nicholas II, his family, any of the books on Alexandra, several books on Queen Victoria and her daughters, and then their daughters, and it's just endlessly fascinating to me. There we go, some great pictures here. And I think there's Queen Victoria there. She was always wearing black after Albert died. Oh yeah, there she. Nicky was a handsome man. Nicholas was handsome. I mean, there he is right there sitting down. She loved him. What are you going to do? So anyway, Empress Alexandra is going to be a great read. I'm looking forward to that. So Melanie Clegg. Next book up, kind of moving and staying in the British realm of things for the next couple of books, actually. Okay. This one is Charles I's Executioners, Civil War, Regicide, and the Republic by James Hobson. Another little book here, also put out by Pen and Sword. On an icy winter's day in January 1649, a unique event in English history took place on a scaffold outside of Whitehall. Charles I, King of England, was executed. The king had been held to account, and the divine right of kings disregarded. Regicide, a once unfathomable say it with me, everybody, unfathomable act, formed the basis of the Commonwealth's new dawn. The killers of the king were soldiers, lawyers, Puritans, Republicans, and some simply opportunists, all brought together under one infamous banner. While the events surrounding Charles I and Cromwell are well-trodden, the lives of the other 58 men, their backgrounds, ideals, and motives have been sorely neglected. Their stories are a powerful tale of revenge and a clash of beliefs, their fates determined by that one decision. When Charles II was restored, he enacted a deadly wave of retribution against the men who had secured his father's fate. Some of the regicides pleaded for mercy, many went into hiding or fled abroad, others stoically awaited their sentence. This is their shocking story, the ideals that united them, and the decision that unmade them. So, so this one and the last book are definitely more of just general history, maybe not so much as military, but they kind of involve a little bit of, well, maybe not. But still, they're from Casemate, and that's what I'm sticking with. These are great books. So just to show you that Casemate, it does military history, but it does general history as well. But the majority of the books that I have here are military history, except for a few that are based on just British history, royals history, stuff like that. Like on this one, here's another one. This is by Julian Whitehead, and this is Espionage in the Divided Stuart Dynasty, 1685 to 1715. Another Pen and Sword. You can see that's down there. Pen and Sword release. Um, yeah, about espionage in the Stuart dynasty. Um, let's see. The King James II was the Catholic king of a Protestant nation, but he had inherited a secure crown and was able to put down the rebellion by his nephew, the Duke of Monmouth. In just over 3 years, James had been deserted by those he loved and trusted and had to flee to France in exile. His throne was seized by his son-in-law and daughter, and when they died, his younger daughter succeeded. For James, it was a personal tragedy of King Lear proportions. For most of his subjects, it was a glorious revolution that saved his kingdoms from popery. Okay, one moment, please. The dogs need to go out. Okay, we're back. Sorry about that. What are you going to do? They're like children. When they got to go, they got to go. So this book charts the inner workings of James's government. The inner workings of government intelligence during that unstable period. So anyway, it throws light on the murky world of spies and double agents at a time of intensive intrigue and betrayal, with many politicians and peers trying to keep a foot in both camps. So anyway, yeah, this is Espionage in the Divided Stuart Dynasty by Julian Whitehead. So kind of goes along a little bit with this and Charles I's executioners. Okay, this is still, I consider this military history, definitely, because it's the age of Napoleon. We have here a brand new book, Britain's Rise to Global Superpower in the Age of Napoleon by William Nestor. This is put out by Fonthill. And this is a nice, big, chunky book, lots of notes, big bibliography, about 280 pages. Let's see here. The art of power consists of getting what one wants. That is never more challenging than when a nation is at war. Britain fought a nearly non-stop war against first revolutionary, then Napoleonic France from 1793 to 1815. During those 22 years, the British government formed, financed, and led 7 coalitions against France. 7. That's crazy. The French inflicted humiliating defeats on the first 5 coalitions. Eventually, Britain and its allies prevailed, not once but twice, by vanquishing Napoleon temporarily in 1814 and definitively in 1815. One of the many reasons why Britain and its allies suffered defeats during the war's initial 2 decades, one is crucial. Although war is as old as humanity, the art of war changes with time. Innovations in technology, combined with brilliant leadership, revolutionized strategy and tactics. French revolutionaries created and Napoleon perfected a new form of warfare. Never before had a government mobilized so much of a realm's manpower, industry, finance, and patriotism, nor, under Napoleon, wielded it more effectively and ruthlessly to pulverize and conquer one's enemies. Britain struggled up a blood-soaked learning curve. I thought there was a period there, and I'm like, that doesn't make sense. Let me try it again. Britain struggled up a blood-soaked learning curve to master this new form of warfare. With time, the British made the most of their natural strategic and economic advantages. Britons were relatively secure and prosperous in their island realm. British merchants, manufacturers, and financiers dominated global markets. The Royal Navy not only ruled the waves that lapped against the nation's shores, but those plowed by international commerce around the world. Yet even with those assets, victory was not inevitable. This is the first book of its kind. Of the hundreds of books on the era, none before has explored all of Britain's land and sea campaigns from the first in 1793 to the last in 1815. Is this true? Tell me out there, all of you Napoleonic era readers. Is that true? Is this the first book? To talk about that, in this vividly written and meticulously researched book, readers will experience each level of war, from the debates over grand strategy in London to the horrors of combat engulfing soldiers and sailors in distant lands and seas. Haunting voices of participants echo from 2 centuries ago, culled from speeches, diaries, and letters. Britain's rise to global superpower in the age of Napoleon reveals how decisively or disastrously The British Army and Navy wielded the art of military power during the Age of Revolution and Napoleon. So it's making a bold claim. It's the first book ever to cover all of the different land and sea campaigns from 1793 to 1815. So let's take a look. We'll have to really dig into that. But yeah, William Nestor's Britain's Rise to Global Superpower in the Age of Napoleon. So another great read. Let's see. All right. Oh yeah. This actually I probably should have showed when I was showing you the Arctic Front book at the very beginning. Okay, so this along with Narvik is going to really educate me on the invasion of Norway. I'm sorry, I'm returning back to that topic. But this is a brand new book, also by Fonthill Media under the Casemate umbrella. And this is Hitler Strikes North, The Nazi Invasion of Norway and Denmark, April 9th, 1940, by Jack Green and Alessandro Mazzignani. So it's a little trade paperback. Real quickly here, in the early hours of April 9, 1940, Adolf Hitler's forces made their next move of the Second World War and, striking north, launched their invasion of Denmark and Norway. Ostensibly undertaken as a preventive maneuver against a planned and openly discussed Franco-British plan to occupy Norway, Operation Weserübung has, more than any other campaign of the Second World War, been shrouded in mystery. Strategic, political, and legal issues were unclear, and military issues were dominated by risk. All right. Let's see here. The combined armies with the Finn. Okay. The German success was the result of improvisation and the application of available forces far beyond the comprehension of their British and Norwegian counterparts. The operation necessitated combining the resources of Air Force, Army, and Navy. Troops were transported into battle by warship and aircraft, and paratroopers were used for the first time. It's fascinating. This combined arms assault was the first three-dimensional strategic invasion in history. In Hitler Strikes North, Jack Green and Alessandro Mazzignani detail the course of this groundbreaking invasion, including the lack of any Danish resistance. At the same time, they provide valuable historical and modern lessons about the role of combined arms planning, the strategic demand for resources, and the use of military force. So, woohoo. Beautiful bibliography. Wow. Okay, yeah. They've mined this quite well. It's wonderful. It's got your usual photographs in the middle. We've got great title headings like Nazi planning. We've got them, which is I always need maps in some of these books. And some books, not by Casemate, but others I've seen that just do not have maps. It's very hard for me to understand and to conceptualize troop movements, without seeing maps. So this is very necessary for me. I've got chapters on the fall of Denmark, the seizure of Oslo. So this is great. Oh, and then there's a whole chapter on Narvik. So again, I've got a nice little, starting to build up a few books now on the Norway front, as it were, in World War II, and this one is going to be essential reading for me. So Hitler Strikes North. Great. Okay, we're getting down to it. Another book by Fonthill Media. This is, I don't know if you guys have seen this anywhere. We all know how many books have been written on Winston Churchill. We've got a ton. I've got the 3-volume biography by William Manchester. We've got the massive 1-volume history by Andrew Roberts. And then we have a bunch of different books that focus on Churchill from different angles, different topics, and more of a minute kind of like spotlight, focus. But this book, I've never seen a book like this before. So tell me what you think about this one. Winston Churchill's Illnesses, 1886 to 1965, by Alistair Vale and John Scatting, with a foreword by his Churchill's son, by Randolph Churchill. And we got Courage, Resilience, and Determination. There's a subtitle there, I guess. Yeah. Well, I mean, I knew the guy had some issues, but I didn't know. This is a big book, you guys. This is over 500 pages. that includes, notes and bibliography, index, all that kind of good stuff. All right, let me just read you a little bit because I don't think many people have. I mean, this is a big one. This is by Fonthill Media. Brand new book. Much has been written about Churchill's health, though little that has been published is evidence-based. Churchill became ill at critical moments in British and world history, so it is legitimate both to understand the effects of his many illnesses on him and to consider his ability to continue in high office during them. Perhaps the most relevant illnesses in this respect relate to his gradually increasing cerebrovascular disease, manifested by a series of strokes, the first occurring in 1949, some 15 years before his death at the age of 90. Churchill's long life also spanned an era in which major advances in medical science and clinical practice occurred, not least the introduction of antibiotics. Alistair Vale and John Scatting have written the definitive account of Churchill's illnesses and document all Churchill's major illnesses from an episode of childhood pneumonia in 1886 until his death in 1965. They have adopted a thorough approach in gaining access to numerous sources of medical information, many of them new, and have cited extensively from the clinical records of the distinguished physicians and surgeons invited to consult on Churchill during his many episodes of illness. So, apparently when you're dead, you're not violating any HIPAA regulations. Okay. We've got a few photos in the middle, but really it looks like more of a dated chronological track of his health throughout his life. We start off with, let's see here. It's got like chapter 5 is appendicitis in October in 1922 London. Okay, wow. You go on further. You got his notes in between him and his doctors. You see like records of his discharges from hospitals. Wow. So yeah, lots of correspondence between Churchill and his doctors. I mean, this is a valuable resource for just general biographers who want to cover this part of, Churchill's life, is his health and the various illnesses he had. This is a wonderful reference for that. A good supplement, as it were, to many of the biographies out there and studies on Churchill. But yeah, this book covers it all. So that's another fantastic and different title. I like sometimes just seeing something brand new, like this next book I'm going to show you. We're talking, it's coffee table size, but I doubt Martine's going to let me put it out on the coffee table in the new house. Check this out. Honey, can we put this on the coffee table? Yeah, I don't think that's going to work. This is the Armed Forces of North Korea on the Path of Sungun by Stinge Mitzer and Joost Olimans. This is put out by Helion. But I got this from Casemate. Look at this book. I just find like the propaganda artwork so intriguing. I've always been intrigued by propaganda artwork, whether it's Russia or Soviet Union, China, North Korea especially. Wow. This book is all about, talk about military history in granular detail. Like chapter 1 is Korean People's Army Ground Forces. Lots of text, but there is a lot of different pictures too. We've got sections on like their Air Force assets. Oh yeah, then we have like illustrated artwork. I mean, this book does not mess around. We've got sections on like their light infantry, how they've trained, their special operations force. Oh, look at this. Wow. Wow. So this is like your heavy duty military coffee table book. If you want to know what North Korea has in store for anyone like that wants to take them on. But yeah, it's mostly just varied imagery, various images of weapons, armament, uniforms, submarines. Oh, there's Kim Jong-un over there. I mean, I don't really know what more to say about it except that it's very specialized. So it's not like this is going to be of interest to a lot of different people. But, I kind of like dipping into these type of things every now and again just to understand what like our military people might be reading, or people at higher levels in our government might be studying to keep our nation safe and to keep our defenses up. And so yeah, it's quite intriguing. And that's, again, nice big coffee table book there. All right, 45 minutes. My goodness, guys, I'm going to try to wrap up. Okay, so 2 more books here. I've made contact with a very nice gentleman who works at a publishing house in Britain, who works with Casemate Publishers, but his company is Greenhill Publishers. And 2 of these books looked really intriguing to me, and I would like to give them a read and also discuss. Especially this one right here is very intriguing. It's a brand new book, by the way. It's a new history release as well. This is Night of the Bayonets, The Texel Uprising and Hitler's Revenge, April to May of 1945, by Eric Lee. So yeah, put out by, it's Greenhill Books. That's the name of the publisher. In the final stages of the Second World War, 800 Georgians serving in Hitler's armed forces on Texel Island off the Dutch coast rose up and slaughtered many of their German masters. Fighting continued for weeks until well after the end of the war. Eric Lee analyzes one of the most exciting battles from the last days of the Second World War in Europe. Whilst the April 1945 uprising was extraordinary and unexpected, its roots can be traced back to early 20th century Georgia, conquered by the Red Army in 1921. Despite this background, the Georgians who entered German service earlier in the Second World War were never truly loyal to them. Finally, they took their chance to rise up against their former comrades on Texel Island, massacring 400 German soldiers in a few hours with knives and bayonets. Hence the title. On hearing the news, Hitler ordered the island to be retaken, and a bloody battle ensued. On 20th of May, 12 days after VE Day, Canadian forces landed on Texel and ended the struggle. Some 200 Georgians survived. So yeah, I had never heard of the Texel Uprising, but this looks to be like a very quick read, but very detailed. I'm looking at the bibliography here, and we've got some color photos in the center as well. This guy is having a snooze on the island. Okay. It's kind of cool. Yeah, this book about 190 pages. So very neat. I'm curious to know more about this little known event in World War II. And they say that this was the final battle of the Second World War in Europe, was Texel. And I had no idea that there were Soviet soldiers that were drafted into the German army. I guess I should know that. But, yeah, Night of the Bayonets, Eric Lee, Greenhill Books. Oh, yes, another book. And this goes back to, like, the Zulu wars and the British and their conflict with the Zulus. I've heard a lot about Rorke's Drift, but I've never read about it, and I really want to read about it. So, again, another book by Greenhill Books. This is Rorke's Drift and Izinwana. I'm going to say Izinwanla. I'm going to stop talking. By Chris Pierce. January 22nd, 1879, minute by minute. So this is a minute-by-minute account of Rorke's Drift and Izinwana. And it says here it's a minute-by-minute investigation of the extraordinary events at Isenwana. It brings to life the true story of Rorke's Drift. It draws on first-hand testimonies from survivors on both sides. Explores the aftermath of the battle up to the eventual defeat of the Zulus. Don't spoil it for me. Just because I don't know. I want to read more about it. Ooh, this is a beautiful photo. This is the Isenwana. Someone tell me how to pronounce this. Okay, Isenwana Hill. Look at that. Wow. Okay, I'm stoked to learn about this. Wow. That's where the battle took place, apparently. One of them. Yeah. It says here, the Battle of Isenwana on the 22nd of January, 1879 was one of the most dramatic episodes in military history. In the morning, 20,000 Zulus overwhelmed and practically wiped out a British invading force in one of the greatest disasters ever to befall a British army. Later the same day, some 3,000 Zulu warriors repeatedly attacked a small outpost at Rorke's Drift, defended by around 150 British and Imperial troops. The British victory that ensued, against remarkable odds, would go down as one of the most heroic actions of all time. Now, I remember seeing a movie back from, the 60s? It was in color, I think, and it probably had, the big names in English. Who was the guy who played, A Man Called Horse? What was that guy's name? I think he was in this one, about the Zulu attack and then the defense of Rorke's Drift. Now I want to watch that movie. I know someone out there knows that movie. Please comment below, fill me in, correct me, get me on the right track with this movie. Okay, so it says here that these battles were intimately linked, but are often treated as separate engagements. In this thrilling blow-by-blow account, Chris Piers draws on first-hand testimonies from both sides to piece together the course of the battles and the connections between them. Along the way, he exposes many of the Victorian myths to reveal great acts of bravery, as well as cases of confusion and incompetence. 50 photographs of all the principal locations on and around both battlefields, and 8 maps help bring the scenes to life. Oh, okay. It says here a brief analysis of the aftermath of the battle and notes on the later careers of the key participants complete this gripping expose of this legendary encounter. So, again, this is put out by Greenhill Books, and this is a minute-by-minute account of Rorke's Drift. And Isenwana, I hope I'm pronouncing it right. This looks to be a quick read, so I'm happy to, now I'm going to want to, there's more available from Greenhill Books. The Fall of Rorke's Drift. Okay, so I might have to, I'm a completionist. What can I say? I like to get as many books as I can on the same topic to kind of read it from different angles and opinions. Okay, guys, so I think this wraps up my spotlight on Casemate Publishers, their new military history releases. They have a ton more, obviously. This is just a fraction of a lot of the new titles that are out there right now. But I'm happy to browse through. Again, I'm reading the book right now on the Katyn Massacre. I think after that, I've got some choices to make here. Let me know what books really intrigue you. So when I'm done with the Katyn Massacre, I can start on one of these for you guys if you want to know my opinion or just to hear more about the book itself. I'd be happy to do a review. So give me some of your choices below in the comments. Thanks for sticking around for this 53-minute video. I warned you ahead of time. There's a lot of different books to go through, but yeah, check out Casemate Publishers. I will link their website below. Of course, you can find all of their books on Amazon as well. But check out their website, see what they're about. They've got a lot of cool things going on there. So, okay, guys. On that note, I'm gonna go get a drink of water, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care, BookTube. Bye.